Let's talk about pair programming. Now, this has been around for a long time, since the late 90s. It has all sorts of research and just anecdotal proof that it actually works to pair up two programmers to work on one machine and code together. Also in other roles like product management or things like that. But it's not very widespread. Well, let's use the Department of Defense, the US's collection of military branches, where they're doing pair programming to see why it will work for you and to prove that it's very effective. First of all, let's look at some things that are problems that the military has that I think also large enterprises have. One, they often have a skills gap. They have a lot of new people coming in and they need to train them up to be better at programming. Those people also churn a lot. They don't stay in the positions that they're in for a long time. They come and go. Also, just like in every other walk of life, in the military, software is critical for how things are run. You really need to run your organization based on software, be able to change things around, change the features. So they actually need the ability to do a lot of innovation and rapidly delivering software. And obviously, they want high quality software that not only is free of bugs, but also has good design and, just like the rest of us who use software, can be extendable and not get stuck and be agile. Pair programming helps out with a lot of these things, and I'm very sure it'll be fine for you if the military can do it. First of all, let's look at skills. So when you pair up people, you're giving the chance to teach, not only with the more experienced person, but the new person is coming in and might have new things that they know, new programming languages, new ways of doing things. So you're constantly teaching each other as you're working together. The other thing that we've learned to do at VMware Tanzu Labs, formerly Pivotal Labs, over 25 years, is you rotate these pairs. You move them around, maybe twice a day even, and you pair up with different people. This gives you a wider range of exposure. It also lets you get to know other people on the team, but it helps with the second thing, with churn, and that is you're spreading knowledge of the system of programming across the team, across different people. You don't have specialists, and instead you have generalists. The way I like to think about this is your organization, the team, is building up knowledge, not individual people. So as people come and go, as they churn out, the organization still has that retention of knowledge in it, and you're always spreading that knowledge by pairing and rotating. When it comes to innovation, I think what you have here is the effect of the proverbial two heads are better than one situation, but also, again, you're introducing new people into the system, bringing in new ideas, but you're also introducing new people to other parts of the system. A typical way of doing a software development team is people specialize in the front end, the back end, the UI, the data layer. But if you have more generalists and you're moving people around to different parts of the team, you have a good chance of people bringing new ideas to each of those systems. Quality, I think, is the part where pair programming shines the most. There's several ways that you can do this. One way of doing pair programming is you have one person write the unit tests, the tests for the code, as or even before someone else is writing the actual code. This means you're always writing tests for things, and it also means you're coming up with novel and interesting ways to test the code. I don't know about you, but oftentimes when someone else is verifying my work, they find new ways to break it that I hadn't anticipated. Another way of pairing is that someone is guiding what someone else is doing. And in this way, and in the other way, you also have someone coming in, again, with a different perspective, a different way of thinking about it. There's another effect of pairing that's kind of unexpected, and that is just satisfaction. Anecdotally, over the years, when I've talked with people who work with VMware Tanzu Labs, formerly Pivotal Labs, they say that when they move from a solo programming to a pair way of doing it, at the end of the day, they have a certain amount of mental exhaustion, but in a good way. That kind of feel that you have when you've been in this flow state all day long, where you've not only been concentrating and doing something that you're good at, also learning something new, but you also have that satisfaction of actually having done a good job. And that's something I would hear over and over again from people who shifted over to this way. And satisfaction is always nice to have in employees, especially if you're worried about retention and hiring people, and also just them doing a good job. There's a bonus feature to this if you're in a large organization, like militaries in this example, like banks, insurance companies, manufacturers. And that is that if you start rotating people out of the team and put them on new teams where they're also pairing, you have a very built-in way of scaling and spreading that change. So think about this. In the team, you're spreading knowledge of the whole system, but also trust in the new way of working. And then you want to spread that beyond that first team to a second team, a third team, a 50th team, a 200th team. If you identify people who are particularly good at pairing and particularly good at teaching and mentoring, you move them to new teams where they start pairing with new people who haven't followed this practice, who aren't using that technology, who don't yet trust the change that you want to introduce. And they start to win them over and train them over. It's a little bit of marketing, thought leadership, developer relations and advocacy that you're doing internally. And then you train up a whole nother team of people. You select one or two people from that team. You move them to a new team. and so forth and so on. And you can see how this spreads over time to build up more and more trust and to do this kind of scaling out by rotating people out of the team. I've seen a lot of success with pair programming and rotating people not only within a team, but across different teams over the past 10 or so years when I've been working at VMware Tanzu Labs, or Pivotal Labs as it used to be called, at large organizations, at places like the DoD. It really is something that's going to not only improve your code, I think give you a lot of innovation and speed up the way that you're doing your code, but it's going to help with the most difficult thing in improving how you're doing software, learning the new practices, having your people trust it, and scaling it to the rest of your organization. These practices are exactly the same and exactly as applicable in any large organization. If the U.S. military can do it, you can certainly do it. There's a more extensive write-up of how the U.S. military has been using pair programming. You can click on that wherever you're watching this. Also, if you want to read more in depth, you can look at my book for free, Monolithic Transformation. If you go to cote.io/books, you can download it for free, and all sorts of other books that go over how large organizations are getting better at software and how they scale that change up to hundreds, thousands of people to their very large organization.